Hello, welcome once again to another video. My name is Javi. If it's your first time watching, welcome, Namaste, and I hope all of you guys are having a very beautiful day today. In this video, I just wanted to speak on the natural flow of the universe, the natural flow of energy, and the best way I can describe it is by looking at a child. Look at a child. Look at how they see life. Look at how their attitude is towards life. Look at how they're reacting to this experience. That is the natural flow of life. It is biased towards being positive. It is biased towards good. It is biased towards the light, and it is biased to growth. That is its natural flow, and you can see it in a child. Now, what happens is that once that child, or us, once that child starts to believe or assimilate the things that the world teaches it more than its natural flow, that's when suffering, and that's when confusion, and that's when all of life all of a sudden becomes very limited. All of a sudden life becomes very dull, when in the beginning you were just so open, so positive, so optimistic, and you didn't even know you were positive and optimistic. You were just in that natural flow. You were in that perspective. You weren't saying, oh, I'm positive, or, oh, I'm optimistic. You didn't even have a sense of what that was yet. You were just it. And that's how the natural flow is. Now, how do we go back to that? How do you go back to your natural flow? Well, like I said, at one point, that child, or us, we stopped being in that natural flow. Why did we stop being in that natural flow? Well, obviously that's different for everybody, but at the same time, it's the same thing, because what happened is that our perspective shifted from being present and being in this natural, positive, optimistic, just loving, carefree perspective, because we didn't believe or get taught that there was something else, that there was challenges, that there was, uh, that life wasn't supposed to be positive and optimistic. We got taught that, hey, don't be positive, don't be optimistic. You have these problems, and these problems are more important. They deserve more of your attention than you being positive and optimistic. So do you see what happened? The world programmed you and me and everybody to stop being in your natural flow. That's all that happened. So in order for us to go back into our natural flow, is first you have to accept that and validate that, like, oh, that's where I stopped being my true self. That's where I stopped living. That's where I stopped feeling this abundant amount of energy, because now I was focusing on all these problems and obstacles that, when I was a child, those problems and obstacles might have been there, but I wasn't focusing on them. I was just living. That's all you were doing. But now you're not living. Now you're focused on those things that, are just taking up your time. They're just taking up your attention. They're just taking up your energy. So in reality, when you're a child, there is no problems. Everything's all good. And not that there's no challenges, it's just that you don't over create them and amplify them. You just naturally somehow know how to deal with life. And it is when you stop to doubt and stop being your true self and believing the stories that you get fed by maybe your parents or whoever, you grew up with, that you begin to stop living your natural flow, and everything else just becomes very confusing. Everything else just becomes very boring, dull, and you essentially just stop living. You essentially just stop being, full of life and naturally positive and optimistic, because you are not, in your true self anymore. Now you've identified with however your mind, you know, you figured to program it and figured to, you know, assimilate, how you were going to go about this life versus just still continuing to live it freely. Everybody started to build all these like safety mechanisms in their mind to supposedly work out life, to supposedly, make life work. But we are only getting in our way when we do that. Our mind is not more intelligent than the divine natural flow mind that is naturally in us. So we are exchanging the higher intellect for the lower intellect to solve our problems or just deal with our, challenges and adversity. And that's bonkers. And, how do you get back to your more higher intelligent? You just simply stop identifying with the mind, because now you're seeing that the mind has never served you. It never helped you. It never did anything good for you. Never, ever. You may think that it has, and it's probably brought you some really amazing, enriching experiences and have felt really amazing, but they are nothing in comparison to the higher bliss and higher love perspective that, you are naturally, and creating from that perspective would be creating magic, would be creating real abundance, a real life of bliss, because you are in a higher perspective. And all you got to do is just simply observe. Don't identify with the mind, the thoughts, the emotions. The external world is just information. It's just experiences. That's all they are. But we give meaning to them. We make them good or bad. And if you're just in your natural flow, like I said, the universe is biased towards good, so you're going to naturally see life as good. The universe is biased towards being positive, so you're going to be naturally positive. And how you deal with those obstacles is going to be in a good attitude. It's going to be in a good energetic way. So you're going to naturally just be okay all the time. You're not going to let those things get to you, because you're stronger than that. You know yourself is more important than these external experiences. You don't have to sink down into a depressed or mad or, resentment or jealousy or fear or whatever, you know. You can just stay as your true self and thrive, and, you know, you don't, maybe just live a simple life, and you won't need to be nonstop go 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 trying to, overachieve everything. And at the end of the day, you're just always tired, always stressed, always just, it's never enough. It's never enough. But now you can just be present, and that can be enough. So see, you give it what the power you give it. You give real meaning to the experience. when you are just present and here, and your true self, seeing life for what it truly is. It's just beautiful, blissful, infinite experiences. And you are an unlimited potential being here to experience it all. So just let things be, in the Tao, philosophy, things are better if you just allow them to be, and you naturally align to the natural flow, and then you're always experiencing what you should be experiencing and flowing in the most beautiful flow of energy. I hope this video really came out clear into your experience. I know it's hard to try to get out of the mind sometimes because it's what people been in that world for their whole life. So to try to see from somewhere that they don't know that they can see from, it's very hard. Some people don't know that they don't know. Some people don't know that there's another perspective. And I know it's hard, and it's hard to let that go and say, oh wait, you mean to tell me I don't have problems? You mean to tell me? I know it's hard, but sometimes you just have to surrender it all, and then trust in your natural ability to that you will know what to do without you having to make a whole thing, a story about it in your head. Because that's when we get in our way. That's when we create the real challenges and the real suffering. That's when we start to create these meanings of things ain't good, things ain't that, in our own head. Love you guys. I hope you guys really find this message into your heart. And I'm working the best I can to, what happens is I just kind of speak my heart and try to do it in the way, because the English language and just our communication isn't the best when it comes to explaining everything that is. We can't possibly put the whole universe into perspective for our minds to understand it. The mind will never be able to understand it. So you kind of almost have to give up the mind for you to step into your true awareness, that everything all of a sudden becomes clear, and everything all of a sudden just click. Every word that I just said will make sense. But I know when you're in the mind, it's like I'm talking in code. When people are receiving what I'm saying from the perspective of their mind and their identification of their personal self, that's when I, find it kind of hard to communicate, because I'm trying to squeeze in the information of the universe into a small window that they're, have open with their attention. And, it's a challenge. I mean, that's why the world is the way it is, because, not so many people, first of all, pay attention. Not so many people, are able to hold a longer attention span, and easily their mind gets distracted. Easily their mind starts to wonder and think about yesterday or the future or the thing they ate or the thing they're gonna eat. Or you get what I'm saying now? It's the mind's overrunning the consciousness that is experiencing this experience, rather than the mind being silent and you just experiencing life and getting rid of the mind. And here I am trying to talk to people that are in their mind so that they can clear their mind. So it's it's like we're using the mind against itself. And for some people, they've only identified as their mind, so they don't know anybody. They don't know themselves. So what I'm saying is almost kind of like, like what you're telling me to stop being the thing that I feel like I am the most. And I know it's scary, but that's when surrender happens. That's when faith happens. That's when you have to trust and you have to believe. And a lot of this even believes and trust and faith are still parts of the mind, but you're using them to get rid of the mind. So that way you won't need faith. You won't need trust. You won't need all these things because you'll naturally already be free. You'll naturally already be in a state of pure love and abundance and positivity and optimism, and things would just be clear. Things would just be clear. So I'll leave it at that. I love you guys. Hope you guys are having such a beautiful day today. Namaste. All is love. Peace be with you. Om.